Any wine drinkers in here? Yeah. Just trying to see where my bougie people are at, I went to a wine tasting, not to brag, I went to a wine tasting and I don't know, the sommelier, you know what I mean? The sommelier, was just like, oh, if you're looking for a good wine, this one right here is quite linear, But if you want a more robust flavor, this Pinot Noir has a quite quadratic equation, I'm just like, you know what? I came here to get drunk, not do math, Started getting the sweats.
And welcome to the Bay Area's Women Theater Festival Amplify Artist Podcast. I'm Cheri Miller, and I am an instigator on the Amplify team. With theaters closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, our Amplify 24-hour performance event, originally scheduled at Brava Theater for April 18th and 19th, with 70-plus performances by over 200 artists, is on hold. But we refuse to allow the need for social distancing to keep us from amplifying ours and the amazing women, non-binary, and trans artists' work. So today, we are in conversation with Luna Malbroux.
Hi!
We'll talk with her about her journey as an artist, as a comedian, actor, playwright. And you can find out more information about Luna's work at www.lunaisamerica.com and make a donation to her ongoing work through PayPal. And that's Luna-Malbroux, Malbrous. And please stay tuned for the rescheduling of the Bay Area's Women Theater Festival Amplify 24-hour performance event by visiting our website at www.bayareawomenstheaterfestival.com. Hi, Luna. Thank you for being a part of our Amplify event, and thank you for joining us today.
It's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure to hear your voice and connect with you in these crazy times.
I know. How are you doing otherwise, though? Sheltering in place? I know you. Okay.
Yes, I am in place.
Okay, great. All right. And I'm going to start talking about what I love about you. And thank you for allowing me to have this time with you to just talk. But Luna, what an amazing artist you are. How you've impacted my life, really showing me that there is no limit to what we're able to accomplish. I think the first time that I just fell out laughing on my side was when I saw that video you made of making restaurant bills equitable. OMG. What is that app called? That's a real app too, right?
Yes. So first it was called EquiPay, and then it switched over to EquiTable. And we have to update it now with all the new stuff for iOS. And so there's actually a team of people working on updates, or there was before COVID hit. But it's an actual real life app. It was something that was developed out of a comedy competition, and then it just became a reality. And I worked on it with a team of amazing, smart, talented tech people and a few other comedians. And I'm glad it's out there because several people occasionally people will come to me and be like, I actually use that app to split bills. And I'm like, you better.
Tell our audience what the app is. And I know that you've even been harassed about that app through some not so kind people and white supremacy. So let's talk about that before we move into the rest of who you are and the amazing work you do.
For sure. So that app was kind of just the brainchild of being a Black woman and and being tired of hearing about the pay gap. I mean, this was about 4 years ago, and people would talk about the pay gap and they say, oh, women make 73 cents to the dollar, but I know that's different for Black women, for Latino women, for Native American women. And so I was tired of that not being part of the conversation. And so when the opportunity came up to create an app, it was just like, well, this is something that will benefit me, because in Silicon Valley, a lot of the stuff that comes out is things that benefit white dudes, like their convenience. So I'm like, this is my convenience. This is what I need. So created an app, tongue in cheek, totally just poking fun at the wage gap and using humor to make a point. And I thought it was just very playful and fun and a way to kind of connect and bring people in and have people actually tangibly explore these ideas in a fun way. But a lot of people were like, a lot of people who are already white supremacists and are already looking for trolls, right? Looking for a way to just troll someone, just like pounced on it. And this was even before I knew what Breitbart was. It was shared on Breitbart. It was shared on all these other like affiliated hate websites. And so I did get a lot of messages like, "This is white genocide." I'm like, okay, y'all hella fragile, like, all right. So I don't know. In many ways, I'm not gonna lie. Some at times it was very scary because you never know where people on the internet like how good their skills are. So I did kind of make sure that it was never really clear where I was at the time, like just in case. But also it tickled me because I feel like sometimes you're doing something right when you ruffle a few feathers. You can't please everybody, and my art is not about pleasing everybody. Is about speaking my truth.
Yes, yes, Luna. And I know when they first started trolling your app and tagging you in really hateful posts, I was a little nervous too, but you were so courageous and you were like, "Oh, thanks." I remember one reply, you were like, "Thanks for the promo." I mean, because it was so massive, the amount of shares that they were doing in a hateful way, but it was
Yeah.
really showcasing your work, and your comedic timing within that video is impeccable. So, kudos for that.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Ma'am. And then let's I know you also as a director, you directed me in a piece with Every 28 Hours, which we made history with, being the first play on the Google, and available worldwide on their Google platform. And let's talk about you as a director.
Hmm. Well, to be honest, that was my first time really directing, and
Nuh-uh.
y'all were so talented. I didn't I can't take that much credit for that because wow, what an amazing cast of people to be able to work with. I feel like, yes, I've directed stuff like maybe years ago, but I would say since I really kind of come into my own in my artistry, that was my first time like stepping into that. So it was just an amazing experience. And I feel very lucky to have had that experience and been around other directors and see the way they work. And just, man, I'm still blown away by the talent of that cast and everything that you brought, everything that everybody else brought to the stage, and just the way that we held space for the weight of that play and the way that we connected with the audience is something that, you rarely see theater really kind of do that, go beyond the words and the acting and reach into the audience and bring the audience in. And that's what Every 28 Hours did. And I'm so glad to have been a part of that.
I know it was an amazing, and thank you for the compliment. It was an amazing opportunity to really share in the creative process. But what you taught me most of all, Luna, was that my side eye was everything. Because that's what you said. You was like, "Oh, that side eye right there. We're going to keep that side eye in the scene." That side eye was everything.
That's amazing. That sounds like me. I'm glad I said that.
Yeah, no one else had ever told me that before. So you were the first.
You do have amazing side eye. It spoke volumes. It just like it carried the whole thing.
Oh, and I know during that process when you were directing us, you were also performing um, as a comedian, and I was like, I can't keep up with you. And you brought us some food back from New Orleans, and I mean, you were just on the move even while we were working on that project. And I took so much inspiration from that. But let's talk about you as a comedian and how your voice developed and some of the ways that you've been acknowledged for your amazing ability to bring humor into some of the social justice issues we're experiencing.
Yeah, it's so interesting because right now is such a time of reflection for me. And I think, especially when I was in the Bay Area, a lot of people are like, I do humor that explores all these ideas around race, around classism, around all these different identities that we have. And I love to explore that, but I feel like there's a weight to that too, because that means I I don't have the same freedom that a lot of comedians have when they're like, I just want to be funny. And that's the goal. My goal has always been to connect and to spread awareness. So there's a weight of that. And I think it comes from who I am and the work that I do in my day job. I do cultural humility, cultural equity work. So I can't ever step out of that. But also sometimes right now I'm kind of like, I wish I could, So like I wish I could step out of it and just do like silly stuff. So to go back to my comedic voice, it's evolved over time. And I think that it's in this process of still evolving because how do I right now I'm thinking about I think I was very explicitly saying a message in my comedy. And now I'm really curious about how do I say that and communicate less explicitly and have people feel that energy without being told that energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. I know finding ways to really leave an audience sitting in their thoughts so that those thoughts continue to affect them and they continue to evolve from those thoughts. Planting that seed is definitely um, not something that should be taken lightly, and it's not done all the time. A lot of people walk away from performances and say, "Oh, that was good," but it doesn't leave them with any life change or any thought process that will continue to maybe change their life and their community's lives. So,
Mhm.
definitely understand. So, let's talk about how to be a white man.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Ugh. So I did this project mapping privilege somewhere around the time that, I was directing, and every 28 hours, I was also like traveling back and forth around the country and talking to people around identity. You were one of the people I talked to. It was so amazing. Um, and then from that, I kind of heard a lot of things, a lot of ways that people were seeing identity, a lot of ways that people were seeing privilege, and how to be a white man was quite satirical and exploring what are ways, let's say, what if there was a way that I, as a Black woman, can tap into that privilege, how could I hack the system for me? So it was comedically exploring those things, as well as the very real kind of truths and opinions and expressions I heard across the country from all types of people. So it was a blend of all those things, and it was. I did two versions of the play, and both were honestly completely different. I I did How to Be a White Man, and it's so funny because I kept the name, but there are two completely different plays, and that was a really interesting experience to just have that and do that. And I think both of them were really strong, but I think you walk away with kind of different ideas from it. So that was just the ability to write something. And I think that's what I love about theater, is that it's never done. You can always add new life to it. You can always um even the way the actors kind of breathe new things to it, how the directors envision things, how the set designers and scene designers envision things, it changes the whole dynamics of it. And so I love that it's just a living, breathing art form, and I love that I got a chance to do that with How to Be a White Man.
Yeah, I think I've never seen anything quite like it. And, truly to even think about how our lives would be different, how we would, what different successes and opportunities we would have if we had the ability to change the way the world perceived us. So, truly, and a lot of funny moments in that. And that was a collab that you did initially with Faultline Theater, which is, our booze, Rose, and the rest of the team over there. And, I just I feel like it just created such a strong community and a strong rooted and grounded family for us to continue in working. I just remember the first read through and just being involved in each other's work has, again, it's kept me inspired.
Mm.
What excites you most about performing? And especially when I know what excited you most about accepting the Amplify 24-hour performance event invite, because I invited you personally.
You invited me personally, and that invite almost broke me into tears. It just touched my heart because I'm like, yes, I'm coming back. I'm bringing something I get to create. It really just touched me. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And then tell me what you were hoping to bring to the stage and what we can possibly look forward to when we take up space again.
Yeah. So a friend of mine that I recently met, her name is Dara Dunn. Shout out to Dara. She is currently, she's a she's a she's a respiratory technician. So this is actually like a really hard time for her because she's in the midst of all this hospital care. She helps people with ventilators. Like that's what she does is that work. And she's an amazing woman. She's a DJ, she's a chef, and her stepfather was a Tuskegee Airman. Like he's like part of that heritage. So who I met, and she's so talented. And she told me the other day how her stepfather, who's really like a father in her life, as stepfathers are, was really trying to force his tradition of being a magician onto her. And that was just the most joyful thing I've ever heard. And it just delighted me. And I was just like, here she is in this very serious medical job, queer woman in a relationship with another woman, and her stepdad is like, I wish you would get it together and stop with the medicine and get into becoming a magician. And it's just something I've never heard before. Like
Never heard
I've
either.
never seen a Black family try to pass on the tradition of magic. And that really inspired me because that's that silliness I was talking about. Just like that, what is the true like freedom in life? What is that freedom? And I thought about the power. Like here's this man who's lived through so many things and he's done so many things in his life, and he came to magic later in life. So he's been doing magic for 10 years. So what is the wisdom that he has when it's like, no, it's really all about play. It's about finding these magic, beautiful moments. Like there's so much there. So I asked her, I was like, could I please write a play based on your life? Because this is amazing. And she was like, bet, let's do it. So I'm so excited to bring that to Amplify for the first time, like the premiere of what that is. I'm still working on it, and I'm glad one positive thing is the space. It gets me an opportunity to perfect it and really listen to all those voices that are coming in. But I cannot wait to just bring that to life. And I've been having to learn a little magic on my own, which is hard to do.
Oh, that sounds so much fun. That's a lot of fun. And I mean, especially when you think about how magical we are and
Right?
how magical our existence is, for someone to say, I don't care that you're out there saving lives and helping people breathe. You need to learn magic.
Exactly. But can you pull this rabbit out of the hat? Like, can you do that? Like,
But
get
can you
your degrees out of my face. Get these medical degrees out of my face. I don't care.
Oh, that's amazing. I cannot wait. And, definitely am looking forward to just having you back in the Bay. You're one of my favorites, and
Mm.
I've missed you since you've been gone, truly. So let's talk about, we're almost to the end of our conversation, but let's talk about the greatest impact moment for you
Mm.
and what that did to level up your artistry.
There's been so many things. There's been so many things, but I would say, I have to shout out a fellow comedian, my boy Clay Newman, who kind of had this idea of live comedy to a live band. So it was like comedy rock and roll jam, live comedy jam. And I think that creatively, I did that. That was before EquiTable. That was before I did any shows and before anything really popped off. But what it taught me was the power of blending genres, of like putting together two different things that maybe shouldn't be together, like a live jam band and stand-up comedy. How's it going to go? I don't know. But just the freedom and being able to explore that and play with that, I think was a turning point in my comedy career, in my career as a writer and a playwright, because it allowed me to just explore and play, in a really contained way. So I think that has been the most, and now it's interesting because in this space and time, what I've been doing is picking up the piano, picking up the ukulele. Now I'm trying to jam. And so I feel like I might come out of this a musical comedian, who knows what's going to happen, but there's definitely something with music that's pulling me in closer and closer. And I don't know, it's been really fascinating to kind of come full circle back to that moment and see what ways can I play around with music.
No, there's such a rhythm to your existence anyway, and to
Mhm.
the way you take up space in a room. Like one of the things when I think of Luna, I see you in a moving skirt
Wow.
that's just flowing. That's my first image of you, Luna. If I think of who you are, I see something that you're wearing, a skirt, and I see it moving. So yeah, there should be some music to your artistry as well. So thank you for having the courage to dive into that. And then we'll end off with your inspiration for a young Black woman hoping to find her voice through this time of reset. What would be some encouragement or some guidance you can offer?
I would say so often for many Black women, we are not allowed in spaces, outside of our loved ones in our homes, and sometimes inside of our loved ones in our homes. We're not allowed spaces to feel, to grieve, to really feel the depth of all of our feelings. And so I would say, like, feel all your feelings, dwell in them, explore those. That's your power. That's part of our magic, is being able to tap into that. And it's in our body, it's tied to our body. So, I just think that now is the time. I'm hoping that um everybody can get a chance to be more vulnerable and really own their vulnerability and step forward in the bravery of that and the courage of that. And I just want to tell everyone listening, that is beautiful, and you could share that with people, and that's a big part of art, right? Is being real with that. So accept those feelings, accept all the emotions that are happening, and feel free to share them with others, because when you do that, that's a gift.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I think learning how to be okay with who we are, the life experiences that have shaped us, and finding our authenticity through that. I think you have to go through the fire. No, I don't think. I don't think. I know you have to go through the fire to have that definite, more defined refinement, right?
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Luna. I love you. This conversation, any conversation with you, is always so inspiring. Thank you for your artistry, your excellence, your commitment. And of course, we're even more excited to provide a platform for you to showcase your new work when we're allowed to take up space again. And thank you, audience, for listening from wherever you are. You can find links to Luna's work on our social media page, Bay Area's Women Theater Festival, and Luna's website, which is Luna is America, on all social platforms. And please, if you can, make a donation of any size to further the work, as the commitment to our art is unchanged. Amplify women's voices with us in art and community. All right, Luna, thank you so much. Woo!
Woo! Thank you. What a joy. This has been such a highlight of my day.
Thanks. Have a great rest of the day.
You too.